Good evening again, folks. In the media land, we want to say a pleasant welcome to another edition of my Lutheran Connections. Um, Sorry that we are 5 minutes late, and very shortly I should be joined by the rest of the other folks. They should be joining us very very shortly. Um, First of all, we want to state this here. I want to state this that unfortunately the chairman of the elections committee, the Lutheran Church elections committee, cannot be here with us today, unfortunately, and the team cannot be here with us. Um, what happened is that the chairman is having some family issues, or due to some family reasons, the chairman cannot be with us here today. Um, and also, he lost his relative. So let us keep our father, Father um, Fromoyan, James Fromoyan. Let us, keep him in our prayers that our Lord Jesus Christ will send the Comforter to be with the family. But however, today we are gonna go with the program. Despite we don't have the chairman here today or the elections committee as we anticipated. Uh, but we are going to go with the program. And we also want to let you know that sometime during the program today, we are going to be having ALIA, that's the Association of the Liberian Lutherans in America. ALIA is the Association of Liberian Lutherans in America. That's the largest organization, the Lutheran Liberian Lutherans here in America. We are going to be joined by the Reverend Dr. Moses Dennis. He's going to be throwing light on today's meeting. There is a scheduled meeting for today. The association is going to be having a meeting today. So he is going to be joining us here today. So um, despite the fact that we don't have our guest with us today, we are still going to carry on the show. The show is going to go on as planned. So it's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting week, a very, very interesting week. The elections committee, uh, the elections committee came up and lived up to her promise. The elections committee came up with the listing of qualified candidates that will be um, on the ballot for the Lutheran Church convention, the bishopric elections come April. So we are going to be going through the list as well. We're going to go through that list, and we're also going to go through, like I said, we're going to be having Aliyah. Aliyah is going to be joining us very, very shortly. Aliyah is going to join us very, very shortly for conversation on the upcoming meeting. Tonight is the general meeting of Aliyah, the Association of the Liberian Lutherans in America. So if you are not aware by now, I'm going to share this that we, the elections committee during the week, as promised, the elections committee came up with the list, um, the listing of the candidates, qualified candidates, and like I said, they will be on the ballot come. They will be on the ballot come April. I'm trying to put up this list. I'm very sorry. I'm trying to put up this list so that everyone can see it for themselves. Um, there is a memo. There is a memo that was shared by the committee. Okay, the committee shared this memo, um, and I think it's very, very important. It's very, very important that we have this memo. Okay, um, it's very, very important that we have this memo, and we are joined by our brother there from Connecticut, Mr. Joker. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Willie. It's nice catching up with you here, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry sorry for coming on late.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
It's, it's good to
I
be
was
here.
just yeah, I was just informing our viewers that today, unfortunately, we cannot have our chairman as anticipated, and this is due to some family issues.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the chairman is
He's having some family issues. Yeah.
yeah, the chairman most especially is bereaved. So
Mhm,
you know, first of all, our hearts, and our prayers goes out to the Fromoyan family
mhm,
for the loss of their family,
mhm,
and he needs all of the prayers that we have to offer for that family. But notwithstanding, we have the list. The list is up. The list came up
yeah.
this week. The elections committee live up to, that's what I told people. I said these are professional people. We have to give them the chance to do the work that they are assigned to do. Okay. You cannot assign someone to perform a certain function, then you cannot be the referee and the player at the same time. So if you want to be the spectator, just watch the players to play the game, and and watch them. At the end of the game, you can say, oh, you should have passed the ball and you should have kicked the ball, but allow them to play the game, and we sit and watch. So before you could join us shortly, I was trying to project the list of I was qualified candidates. I was just trying to project that list so that everyone can have a look and see what the list looks like. Um, and also, Aliyah will be joining us this evening. That's the Association of Liberian Lutherans in the Americas. The Reverend Dr. Dennis will be joining us very, very shortly as well. And he will be talking about the upcoming um, the upcoming meeting, for Aliyah. So if you don't mind, just a minute, and I will just project this. I want to show the memo for those who did not have the chance to see the memo.
You made a
Um,
memo from the chairman?
yeah, memo from the chairman's office.
Okay, that contains the list of qualified candidates.
Candidates, yeah, qualified candidates. Yes.
All
Mhm.
right, right.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's very, I think it's important. It's very important that we share that list, or probably just quickly. Um, and I would just go ahead and do this and just okay. It's a little bit faint, but I think it's here. There we can all see it on the screen right here. It says that the committee chairman committee brought greetings, and he went over information stating that he said during the course of his work, that's part of the um, working inconsistent with the guidelines, and the constitution of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. There was a protest that was filed against one of the candidates, and impression of Reverend Moses Goba, and the committee, in you know following paragraphs, the committee was able to investigate in conjunction with the central office and the legal team of our church. Our church has a legal team, and if we have some questions, we go to them to seek legal redress. But most importantly, the last part here says that uh, Reverend the memo continues to say that Reverend Goba is to be treated as any other member of the clergy of the Lutheran Church in Liberia. That's the findings, concluding findings of the memo. And the committee came up and said that against this backdrop, in and in consultation with the committee members, with the exception of the Reverend McKay, who was out of mobile phone coverage area at the time. We all know Liberia, there are certain places. Even here, I should admit, not only Liberia, but here in Georgia, when I'm driving, there are certain areas when I just drive down, my network can drop. So this is true that because Reverend McKay, who is a member of the committee, was in an area that he did not have network connectivity, the committee is pleased to present the following names as candidates for the pending LCL Bishopric election 2022. So the committee came up with five names: the Reverend Orita Miller Davis, the Reverend Moses Boboyon Goba, the Reverend Janice Feju Gono, the Reverend Victor G. Patmos. Sorry, I don't know the G for in the name of Reverend Patmos, and the Reverend Molba Zizi. Um, my dear brother, this is the list. What do you make of this list? And first of all, I want to say, what do you make of the work of the committee so far, and
Right.
and coming up with the list?
Right.
Yeah,
I think you just set the tone for the conversation
right.
today, for the show today, and let me just appreciate you for that.
Appreciate it.
That was good on your part, to first display the memo from the committee because
Right.
it's important. That's our reference,
Mhm.
and I will also add that that's our reliance,
Right.
for some of the things that we're going to be
That
saying
we're
here
gonna be staying on the show.
because
Yeah.
there has to be an established basis,
Right.
for the
Hmm.
points we're going to be making. And
Right.
I think many people are glued to this conversation here.
Yeah.
A lot more will come over because
Yeah.
I think the information that was sent out was that the
Yes.
chairman
Yeah.
and
The
members
chairman.
of the committee were going to be on today so that
Yes.
we can be able to, unpack
Right.
some of the concerns that people have been raising about the process.
Right. Right.
But first, I would say that Willie is it's nice here a little bit, the part of Connecticut we're in, Western Connecticut, close to New York. I'm just 1 hour away from the Bronx.
Mm.
And it's very cold here. We live in the mountains. We are in
Wow.
the yeah. This state is rich with a lot of resources. We
Mm.
got the mountains all around here, so everything happens here like it happens in the Midwest. It gets cold here. Day before yesterday, we were in the negative 11 degrees. And yes, it was really freezing. But today you see me, I'm downstairs in my basement. I got
Mhm.
just t-shirts on,
Oh
shorts.
wow. So
Yeah.
that
So
sends a signal.
it's 39 degrees
Okay.
today. Yeah. So nice.
Right.
But when it comes to the subject of our conversation today, let me begin by saying that I think the committee is off to a good start.
Absolutely.
Um, and I say this on the basis of the communications they've put in the public domain,
Right.
and they are all consistent with principles and procedures for conducting elections,
Yeah.
no matter the setting,
Right.
uh, whether in the secular setting or in the church setting, in the religious setting. I
Right.
think they are following the principles of fairness
Hmm.
and transparency,
Right.
because what Lutherans yearn for, and Liberians in general, because the
Hmm.
Lutheran Church, the
Right.
role of the church is so critical,
Yes. Yeah.
to the growth and development of the country. And
Hmm.
so Liberians in general are following this process very closely.
Right.
They're following it with keen interest.
Hmm.
And so the committee understands
Hmm.
that they have a responsibility not only to the Lutheran Church in Liberia as far as conducting a credible election is concerned and ensuring that there is, a peaceful, a smooth leadership transition
Right.
in the church is concerned. So I think they are off to a good start. They started by releasing the timetable for the election,
Hmm.
all of the procedures, the steps.
Hmm.
They define them clearly
Hmm.
with timelines and release them to the public. We had a clear understanding of the scope
Hmm.
of the elections and everything that's involved in the process.
Right.
So that was a good start. The second thing, they followed that very closely. Candidates were able to apply, and they were screened. And then, at the point where they were supposed to release the qualified candidates,
Right.
we learned that a protest was filed,
Hmm.
and the fundamental question that we know Lutherans were concerned about whether or not
Hmm.
the person who filed the protest had a right to do that.
Right.
So firstly, we need to clarify that the person who filed the protest is a pastor of the Lutheran Church in Liberia,
Right,
somebody who has worked over the years assiduously, like any of the other pastors,
right,
uh, for the growth and development of the church, Reverend Thomas Zipe.
right.
Um, he obviously had right to protest because that is part of the democratic process.
And let me just jump in quickly. Let me just jump in quickly that not only because he is a pastor, because he is a member of the church. So, not only a pastor, but any other member of the church who had concern during that time period could have raised the concern, and their concern would have been, addressed. The committee would have taken their time to listen to anyone else. So, this and I'm just joining you to say that he had his right. Okay,
Absolutely.
he had his right, absolutely, and any other
Absolutely.
member of the church,
I agree.
had a right. Yeah,
I agree. I agree with you 100%. And I was actually going
and I
to
applaud the
emphasize
committee for that. Yeah.
I was going to emphasize that
Okay. Okay.
that
Yeah.
he
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely had a right, and
Mhm,
it is the right going forward
mhm.
in all of the remaining steps in
Right.
the ensuing electoral process.
Right.
All Lutherans,
Mhm.
have the right to raise concerns. To file protest, to disagree respectfully. And
Right.
that is why we have emphasized on this show that, hey, we have the choice to make
Right.
a difference. And the way we can make a difference
Mhm.
in supporting the smooth, transitional process in the church, leadership transitional process in the church, is
Right.
to engage with the process constructively and be
Absolutely.
very realistic in the
Yes.
process.
About
It has to be void of lies,
Mhm.
slandering,
Yes.
making sure that we are people who put the interests of the church first,
Right.
consistent with Jesus's mission of
Right.
preaching, healing, and teaching.
Right.
So we have to be truthful people because only truthful people can realize that, can strive towards meeting that mission requirement that Jesus charged all of us to.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And go
so the
ahead. Go
question
ahead.
is whether or not Pastor Pay was right to file the protest. Yes,
Yes.
resounding that he was right to file the protest.
Yes.
And the second aspect is that he filed the protest and the committee received the protest, acknowledged the protest, the lawyers will say litigated the protest because look that was an interesting part that I can easily forget about because as somebody who has been in election management for a considerable period of time,
Right.
managing complaints is a critical component of the electioneering process where
Absolutely.
people they satisfy and you pay keen attention to all the parties and you
Mhm.
make sure that you follow the laid down procedures, the laws,
Mhm.
the regulations and the guidelines to make sure that it's appropriately adjudicated.
Right.
That is a critical part of ensuring the credibility of elections. And the committee did exactly that. They received the protest, they acknowledged the protest, they notified Reverend Goba, against whom the protest was filed by Reverend Thomas E. Pay,
Right.
and the committee brought the two of them face to face.
Face to
Willie,
face.
imagine they brought my
Interesting.
understanding is that they brought two of them face to
Wow.
face. Yes, they brought the two of them face to face,
Mm.
and they were able to give the two individuals the opportunity to discuss, their positions. Reverend Goba was defending, and the complainant, Reverend P, had an opportunity, I'm told, to explain, to support his protest, to produce, a documentary evidence or
Mhm.
whatsoever evidence he had in his possession,
Mhm.
to substantiate his claim.
Mhm.
The opportunity was provided to him, and book was also provided the same opportunity to defend himself, to be able to react in his protest. And the committee, my understanding is the committee researched the subject of the protest. And after the research, the committee realized that, hey, this is not an issue. This was formally proclamation of the convention of the 18th by has to be corrected. Uh, uh, the convention um, mandated the BMTE to look into the matter, and the BMTE referred that to the legal team, and
Right.
that issue was not dealt with. It was not litigated. The issue was, put on hold
Right.
until this time of the election, that the issue was raised again in the form of a protest.
Right.
On the basis of that, my understanding also is that the committee indicated that this matter is currently before the legal team of the LCL, and it was referred to the legal team by the convention, because the convention referred it to the BMTE, and in the wisdom of the BMTE, it was a legal matter to be handled by the legal team of the LCL. And it was on the basis of that the legal team was able to review the matter based on the reference or the referral from the BMTE. And one thing here we can say clearly is that there was some confusions, Willie, about whether or not the committee was seeking the bishop's intervention. We have to clarify this. The
Right.
committee did not seek
No.
bishop's intervention. The
No.
committee only requested the bishop because it was the convention
Right.
that, hey, you need to ensure that the legal team
Right.
dispose of this matter to
Right.
facilitate
Yeah.
our job.
Hmm.
And it was on the basis of that the bishop reminded the legal team that you need to dispose of this matter expeditiously
Right.
to ensure that the electoral process is not hindered,
It's not
that
hindered. Right.
the committee is able to proceed smoothly.
So,
And it was
so,
on the basis of that expeditiously the
mhm.
legal team handled the matter the way it did and came up with its findings.
so,
So
so,
if you ask me whether the committee is proceeding well, I think the
mhm.
committee is well on course with this matter, and they should be congratulated and appreciated for the level of professionalism, that they are exercising.
And I would join you. I would join you to agree that um, the bishop had to activate, I would say, the legal team, or to tell the legal team, you need to put this first. I know you have some other issues, but put this first so that the committee can go on with her work. Because the EC, which is the elections committee, cannot just go and activate another committee or tell another committee, say, this is something, go ahead and do your job. No, it's the bishop. So the bishop had to come in and say, look, elections, not elections committee, but the legal committee, you need to look at this case, because the outcome of your findings will pave a way for, you know, the elections committee to move forward. Okay, because this convention is coming. We want for everything to go as smoothly as the elections committee is working on it. So anything that will hold on to the elections committee progress, we have to take care of that. And I think it was very,
Right.
very important that the elections committee had to, the bishop had to come in, the election committee had to reach, then the legal team also, we also want to appreciate our legal, our legal committee for
I agree.
looking at the issues, and very quickly, speedily, and they went through the process and came up with their funding. And based on that funding, which we are speaking of today, that based on the funding of the legal committee, based on the memo from the elections committee, we are speaking today. But again, um, we cannot, discuss certain issues or respond to certain questions if in the absence of the elections committee, because they will have more information. They are close with that authority.
Absolutely. And that's why I want to interject something quickly, Willie.
Yeah.
That's why I want to make an interjection quickly.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, one of the critical question that's been
Mhm.
lingering is
Right.
that why the committee did not take seize of the matter in terms of litigating the matter itself and coming out with its own findings.
Right.
That was not possible
No,
because
no.
a matter that was pending before the convention, and
Right.
then that was still the convention, mind you, even though it was dealt with by the legal committee, but it was the convention that mandated the legal committee.
Yeah,
And so
and
the
our part of that
election
convention,
committee
just to clear, our part of that convention. Yes.
and so the election committee, which is an ad hoc committee,
Right.
cannot have jurisdiction
Right.
over a matter
Mhm.
that is before the convention, the highest decision making body of the
Absolutely.
LCL. So
Absolutely.
the election committee could not,
Right.
by
No.
any means,
No. By any means, no.
have jurisdiction over that particular matter. So the election
Absolutely.
committee had to, and that's why I said they were wise to do that,
Yes.
because amateurly, any
Hmm.
other committee would have said, okay, this matter was brought to us.
Right.
We will definitely go into the merits and demerits
Right.
and then make a determination. But you can't
Exactly.
make a determination because you are an ad hoc committee, and this is a legal matter
Right.
that was pending before the convention.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it was not possible to do that. So I wanted to make that important clarification. The other
Absolutely.
clarification, the other
Hmm.
clarification the public needs is that
Hmm.
what was the substance of the protest? And
Okay.
as you indicated in the declaration by the election committee,
Right.
the pastor who filed the protest,
Right.
Reverend Thomas V.
Right.
Contended that Reverend Goba was not a rostered pastor of the Lutheran Church in Liberia.
Yeah.
And I think this is a matter that has lingered since the last convention. That's what we said, it was a convention issue. And
Yes.
that's the beauty of democracy. Those of us who have dwelled, in the democratic process for some time,
Right.
uh,
Right.
we understand when people engage the process
Hmm.
constructively,
Yes.
with deep respect,
Yeah.
and value the opinions and views of their opponents, even
Hmm.
though they contest the same position. That's the beauty of democracy, and
Yes. Absolutely.
it becomes even so beautiful
Hmm.
when the referee that is managing the process, presiding over the process, ensures that everyone has a level playing field
Right.
to be able to participate fully. And
Hmm.
that is what we see playing out here in
Right.
the case of the bishopric election that is being managed by the election committee.
Right.
So the protest was far as
Hmm.
sensitive and critical the protest was rather,
Yeah. It
because
was
the
right.
issue was being dealt with was
Hmm.
the committee did not hasten itself. The committee took its time, soberly reflected and reviewed the matter and acted appropriately. But the protest was that Reverend Goba was not a roster pastor. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And,
That
and
was
and from our own understanding, you and I, we can talk about this. I think some
right.
of the things that the committee consider
Right.
where, hey, yes, if this guy is not a roster pastor, but
Right.
this guy goes to all the conventions and voting the convention,
So, I was just about to go there.
talk about that a little bit, Willie.
So when did this guy, okay,
Yeah,
and again we just want to say this, that this is from the lens from which we
yeah.
are looking at this, so it is not
This is personal. Let's
this is
give that
personal,
disclaimer. This
right?
is
Yeah.
this is from our
So
individual lens,
exactly. So
Yeah.
this is a man, a pastor, okay. This is the pastor who attended every conventions that, and he attended the convention as a delegate. His name has been on every uh, uh, convention list as a pastor. Even the last convention that you talked about, the convention has sent this issue to the BMTEA and onward to the because the convention mandate to the legal team. Okay, he was part of this convention. His name was on the roster. So what happened between 2021 and 2022 that his name he's no longer on the roster? So and again he been voting, He even canvassed. I want to understand that he also canvassed for one of his I don't want to use the word opposition, but he canvassed for one of the qualified candidates on the list, impression of Reverend
Really?
Pat.
Really?
Yes,
He did?
I understand that. Yes, he canvassed for Reverend Patmore in the past 2017 elections. So what happened then that he was a roster pastor from that time, and what's happening now that he's not a roster pastor? So that question and so many other, I know it's in the mind of our people, of the our viewers rather, but again, we it is due to some personal, some family issues that the elections committee cannot be here. I know the elections committee will, some of the members would love to be here, but you want to go to an event where your boss is there and all of you are going as one. So with due respect to the Fromoyan family that they are bereaved today, the elections committee cannot be here. But they, however, informed us, the team, my Lutheran connection, Stevie, that they're going to work along with the schedule so that sometime, along during the electionary period, they will appear. So I just wanted to send this out to those who are just joining us. Again,
Right.
then,
Let me just
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
talk about the committee aspect, the decision making based on the legal team's findings.
Right.
Um, I think did all of them agree? Do you have any information? With the legal team's finding before the publication
So,
of
yeah. So from my from the information that I gathered, none of the five qualified candidates have come up with any like opposing comment, you know, to the release of the elections committee's memo. None
great,
of the none of the five candidates.
great,
Speaking of
and none of the committee members have dissented, not at all.
none of the committee members. The
And
committee.
we don't have such dissent. We don't have copy of
No,
any
no
such.
copy of such is in our possession. The only
Okay,
information we have is the committee's memo. We
good.
states that, yeah, we states that, and I must say it's not only in Liberia, here
Mhm,
in the US,
mhm.
where most of the time the road that leads to where I live,
Right.
there are two places on the road here. When I'm on the phone or I wish to pass those places before I can communicate with anyone because the network is going to drop. So
Absolutely.
this is not only unique to Liberia. It's also happening here in the US. And I should say that I'm not boasting, but I'm using AT&T, one of the
Right.
strongest network in the country. Yes,
I
I'm using
know.
AT&T, but
AT&T
AT&T,
should pay you some money, okay? AT&T should pay you some money
they
for
should
that.
pay me some money because
For
I'm
that,
advertising
for
AT&T.
that
When
ad.
AT&T drops, AT&T network drops. Okay, I'm using AT&T for network drops. So they committed information that they could not reach Reverend McKay because he was in a location
Mhm.
without network coverage. I want to believe that more than 100% will all
But
certain.
I don't think. Sorry, but I don't think we should
I
talk
don't think
about
that's
that
even a
more.
contention. No,
We
that's
should
not
talk
even a
about that
contention.
more.
I just
There's
want to say that.
no reason for any contention because
Right,
the situation
exactly.
in
And none
Liberia.
of the committee members,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
ever come out
yeah.
and say, "Oh no, we go against this or that." Maybe somebody will have that in the mind, saying that. But but even if it is a vote, even if they were taking a vote, even if they were taking the vote, I think the
Yeah,
information
majority of the
majority.
committee
So
members.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. But it's good to talk about these things. It
it
helps
is.
our
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
to absorb, the information properly and be able to process it in a way that keep them constructive and positively
yeah,
engaged.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's really good to talk about it. I know we have talked about the work of the committee. We have talked about, the protests, and we have talked about the status where we are right now.
right.
Going forward, I think we all pray that the process continues to proceed smoothly so that we can have peaceful election and a peaceful leadership transition in the LCL. Uh,
Absolutely.
However, we need to hear from Lutherans, both at home and in the diaspora,
Right.
about how they feel about the process. We
Mhm.
got to keep talking about this so that we get people's views and opinions. If there are ways that we can sharpen some of the contradictions,
Right.
we can do that. We can provide clarifications in that process. We'll do it. So, look, let's go into another aspect. I know
Right.
that people will be concerned about
Right.
as well.
Right.
The candidates, the names are out,
The names are out.
and these are pastors. And
And
don't
and,
forget,
and,
folks,
and
don't forget, folks.
right.
Remember, we are going to come on with each candidate here, right on this platform.
I want to share the screen again just for our viewers to see. Those who are just joining us, this is the list. The list of the two pages. This is the second page. All five of them, and it is signed by the Reverend. Um, it's signed by the Reverend. So
It's not a revenue.
sorry, the chairman. you know, we Lutheran, we are so used to our pastors. I'm saying the Reverend.
Yes. Yeah, right. Sometimes I mix it up. I'm supposed to call
Yes,
somebody pastor and I'm calling their father, you know.
exactly.
And
So
some
quickly, I just want to speak. I just want to speak
other
onto
in
this.
revenue, you know.
Right. I want to speak onto the listing. So to our viewers, the month of March that we are coming to is going to be a very very interesting month. We want to inform you that we've sent out communication directly, not through any other person, not through even their office, like personal assistants or so. No, we send out communications directly to the candidates. And we have a schedule outline. We are going to have our candidates. They are going to appear. We're going to be in direct. We're going to continue direct conversation with the candidates, and it is our anticipation, very very strong anticipation that they all are going to appear. We've already started receiving positive responses that they are going to be available. They're going to make themselves
Yeah,
available to
yeah,
appear. So the month of March leading to April, I would say month of March and April when it comes to the activities in our church. I don't want to just limit it to the elections that is coming up, even though the election is part of the unfolding activity, the current happenings in our church. But we should also understand that our church is going to convention. So election is one part, is one aspect of the convention, but and it's just on one day. But the convention, the church is going to convention, and this is going to be the last convention, or yeah, the last convention of the current administration. Um,
right, right.
so it's very important that the month of March going to April, um, we encourage you to please keep tuned. We're gonna be having, like we said, we're gonna be having all of the candidates here. They are gonna be appearing on the show. They're gonna be sharing all of um, their plans. They're gonna be sharing what they see our church like at this time, and what can uh, a Reverend Kono leadership take our church to. What's the new, plans for our church, and what can a Reverend Zizi leadership, or the Reverend Reverend Davis leadership, or Reverend Patmore, or Reverend Goba leadership, you know, can take the church to. So it's going to be very very important, and it's going to start next Sunday. The very first person is going to appear next Sunday, and then Sundays after that we're gonna be having the candidates right after that. At this time, we know that everyone is all excited. That since the listing came up, we see a lot of canvassing materials all out on social media. We see a lot of the candidates and our pastors and our laity brethren. They are all out there. We see a lot of pictures and there, a lot of documentary. We're seeing them. So we're going to give them a chance. We're going to give them the time to go this week, next week. But come next Sunday, my dear brother and colleague, we're going to have our first candidate.
Right, that's true. Thank you so much
That's
for the
yes.
hard work. And Willie is talking about the plan so well because he's in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah,
Willie helps
absolutely.
us with all of
Absolutely.
those planning and clerical
Yeah,
activities. He's doing a lot, and publicly, I want to acknowledge the good job he's doing.
I
Willie,
appreciate the team, the
thank
entire
you.
team. I appreciate the
Yeah,
team.
thank
I
you very
appreciate
much. Today we don't have Jerry, the ambassador from
the
Freetown,
ambassador is not here.
but I'm sure he's following.
The
Also, we
ambassador
don't
maybe
have
is carrying some
Abel. Abel
diplomatic
is
work.
very busy.
Yes,
Abel just arrived in Monrovia from Topmanburg, where
yeah,
he's
absolutely.
working
Yes,
with the Men's Auxiliary with their
yes,
animal husbandry project. So
right,
he can be on today. Willie and I are here, obviously,
right,
having this conversation. But let me
right.
just add that Willie was simply trying to tell you guys that the month of March is going to be busy for all of us. We're going to be discussing the convention proceedings,
Right.
happenings during the course of the convention. But critical of those happenings is the electoral process. And I think we've all raised our antennas. Yeah. And right now, the Eisenhower Lutheran, they are very charged,
Right.
very charged, and they
Very,
want to
very
see
much
what's going
charged.
to happen, whether or
Mhm.
not they have voting rights. But because of the love of our church, the
The
love
love
of
of our
Jesus
church. Yeah,
Christ,
yeah,
the
yeah.
love of Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and to make sure that we realize Jesus's mission. We all look forward with people say, quote unquote, eagle eyes, to make
Yeah,
sure that
absolutely. Yeah.
the electoral process is successful, meaning it's
Mhm.
credible,
Right,
and the outcome of the elections will be accepted by all
right,
in the church.
right.
It doesn't matter whether or not your candidate wins, but that's the beauty of democracy. We have done it over and over. This is not the first time. And so we're not going to nothing is going to break. Everything is going to be okay. All
Right.
right. So we will be coming with each candidate on here during the month of March, and you will have all your questions. Prepare your questions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Prepare the beautiful things you want to say about them. But the only thing that we won't take here is disrespect.
No.
You
Absolutely.
will have to respect people's views and their
Yes.
opinions.
Yes.
Besides being a church setting, is just a normal principle
Right.
that everyone has to follow, and we're going to follow that to the letter.
No.
So get prepared for March. It's going to be, interesting. You're going to hear from the candidates. But Willie, let me just share something with you. That list
Yeah.
is
Go ahead.
very interesting.
It
That
is.
list is very, very interesting
Yes, it
because
is.
you know what? I see that. The candidates, almost all of them work together very closely.
Absolutely.
Very
Yes.
closely.
Yes.
I remember when Reverend Goba initiated the HIV and AIDS
The
program
HIVS program. Right. Right.
in Liberia.
Right.
Almost all of these candidates were brought on board,
Right.
and they all work together. I remember Reverend Gono worked with Reverend Gopa when
Right.
Reverend Gopa
Right.
had the program, because
Right.
I remember Reverend Davis also worked with Reverend Gopa, and Reverend Zizi worked with Reverend Gopa
Right.
in the process when Reverend Gopa, I think, initiated. And I
Right.
think the initiation of that project is credited to him greatly.
No,
It
absolutely.
was
Yes.
very
Absolutely.
innovative, yes.
Yeah.
And all of them, I can really acknowledge the contributions they all made individually to the success of. They had a very good teamwork.
Right.
I don't know. I stand to be corrected, but I'm not sure Reverend Patmo was ever involved with the HIV and AIDS program. However,
No.
he was also involved with a project that I think took care of the affairs of kids. I think it was called God's Kids. It
God's
was a
kids. Right.
project, yeah, that looked very promising, but I'm not sure it went on for long.
Okay.
And of all of them, when they come on, these are some of the things we'll be
Right. These are
talking
some of
about,
the things.
because it's border on the kind of leadership that they are expected to provide for the church. We have moved away from the mission church, as Reverend Allison will always say, a point in time that, and Reverend Allison, let me say, hands up to you.
Right.
I hope you and the family are doing good. Yeah, he also follows the show.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, all the
Yeah,
time, all the
Reverend
time.
Allison,
Yeah.
I hope you are doing good. Your wife and everybody is fine. Reverend Dennis, Moses Swa Dennis, Dr.
Moses Swat
Dennis.
Dennis. Yeah.
We hope you're doing good and you're following also.
Right.
But let me just say that this is an interesting thing
Mm-hmm.
because I'm baffled,
Right.
and let me confess
Mm-hmm.
for the fact that these guys work together
They all.
very closely,
Right.
very closely. They work together to run the biggest project in the LCL,
Right.
and that the Lutherans and Liberians in general. I think Reverend Gopa also um, led the efforts of establishing HIV/AIDS programs in the country
It-
across
it- it- it-
across the country. It-
absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and they were all involved. They were
Mm-hmm.
all involved. They all contributed.
Right.
And they all got their education that we are proud of.
Right.
As Lutherans, our
Right.
pastors.
Right.
The scholarship dimension of the whole thing is very much important. When I say the scholarship, I'm talking about the knowledge base.
Mm-hmm.
How they
Right.
have acquire education adequately to be able to manage resources of the church, to be able to reorganize the church, because that is required for this national stage that we find ourselves in. We're no
Absolutely.
longer getting the support of the partners. They're no longer missionaries around. The Lutheran World Service is not there anymore. The Catholic Church that used to, also contribute through the CRS program, their relief program, is not there anymore. We're not
Right. Right.
having the kind of assistance that we had before, financial, material, emotional, humanitarian, without having those kinds of services anymore. It is now, within our purview as Lutherans that we have to figure out how we can mobilize resources for the running of the church.
Absolutely.
We have to determine the kind of projects and how we can support those projects, to continue to cater to the needs of the people in the church, people in financial needs, people in critical needs, health, distress, trauma, and everything. We used to run one of the biggest trauma healing program in the country. I know it's still running, but I'm sure it's scaled down significantly. These are
Right.
some of the things that they're going to consider. So I hope Lutherans will make the election an issue-based election and not
Absolutely.
picking on individuals,
For
character
individuals.
and,
Yeah.
and
Right.
personalities,
And,
and trivializing the whole campaign, going into people's personal life. I hope they can try to engage the candidates, raising some of these issues. How are you going to sustain this national responsibility now we have as a church? Because you're
absolutely.
not having the ERCA anymore coming in
No.
substantially the way it did.
No,
You're not
you know
having
what?
the World Service anymore. It's not there. It doesn't exist. You don't have the Catholic supporting through their CRS initiative. You're
Right.
not having other partners
Right.
coming forth the way they used to do before. It's
Mm-hmm.
now all by ourselves. We are now in the national state, like I said, as Reverend Allison who always say, Dr. Allison. And I appreciate that. That's something I learned from him when he appeared on the show.
Right.
Because if you really want to talk about the LC and its progress, you need to understand the different stages.
The
So
different
that you
stages.
can be living in the past and
No.
thinking that the ERC is coming tomorrow as it used to come.
No.
LWS is coming back. It's not coming back.
You
The
know what?
different
I
partners
want to
are
jump in
coming
quickly.
back.
Yeah, I want to jump in quickly on what you were saying. Quickly, please,
Sure,
brother.
sure.
Let me just take few minutes of your time. So let me no. Even the Senate that I am part of, the Delaware, Maryland Senate, our bishop had 7 assistants to the bishop for the Central Baltimore region, for
Right.
East region, West region, this region, that region. Guess what? The bishop now, they had to cut down. The bishop now has only 1 assistant to the bishop. Only 1. And it's due to funding. I mean, they said it. They said it clear cut. We
Mhm.
had a pastor, okay? We had a pastor in our congregation, and he told us plainly, he said, look, in mind you, he was assistant to the bishop too, at the same time taking care of our congregation. But because his position was cut off, he had to relocate to another congregation that will meet up that need, that financial need. because our congregation honestly was not really in a position to satisfy him when it comes to the ELCA standard of a full-time pastor. So I'm saying this to say, to agree with my brother here on set, that listen, the money, okay, yeah, so the money, okay, that we all used to just sit and look up for before, it's not, manna is not just falling from heaven. We can see now, over years and years ago, manna is not falling from heaven. We have to be innovative.
Mhm.
We have to come up with plans and how we can move our church forward. We have some questions in the our chat room. In, let's say, the comments field, we have some questions there. But before I go quickly to to one of the questions here from our brother, and he's a very very good, he's an agent follower, brother Sizi Goye. So when we mention, when you emphasize that we are going to have all five of the candidates, put down, write down all of your questions, get prepared to ask these candidates. Guess what? Our sister Patience said, and I'm gonna share that. She was like, yes, it is true. Yes,
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna
gotta
have
create a
all of them.
platform. We gotta create a platform for our
We have
people
to
to
create a
interact with
platform.
the candidates. You know,
Absolutely,
I know
absolutely.
the election committee said that look, institutions, structures in the church can organize debates or
Right,
whatever way they want to do it. But
right,
for
yes,
us here, we want to give each candidate the opportunity to be able to cover every aspect of their platform.
absolutely,
What are the plans they have in store for the LCL? They need to
yes.
come here and
They
we
need to
give
come
them
and
the
tell us.
opportunity. They talk about it. They
Right,
need to freely discuss it. And
right,
on the basis of what they're going to say here, we'll be able to ask them questions. And the viewers, who are their possible electorates, many of them, will
right.
be able to ask them questions here that we will put up to them. We will not be the one asking those questions from the viewers,
Yeah,
so
and,
we put
and,
them.
and, and and
Hey,
we are joined
ambassador,
by the ambassador. The ambassador is here. Yeah. So
you are muted. You are muted,
yeah,
ambassador.
yeah, the ambassador, the ambassador is on mute. We have a question here from our brother Sizigoya. But before the question, can I just share a comment quickly? It's from one of the pastors as well. When you were speaking, talking about uh, uh, how the proceedings and how the convention. This is from one of the pastors. He's the Reverend who is in charge of the St. Andrew's Lutheran Church in Gaytown, Oro. Is the Reverend Sumo P. Kokolo. I work with Reverend Kokolo in the choir, St. Matthew Lutheran Choir, and when he was in the evangelism department. And he goes on to say, the problem I have with the candidates for the bishopric office is they have refused to talk to their supporters to discuss the issues and stop attacking personal characters. Lies, deceit, and falsehoods has taken over the place. This need to stop. Election will pass and we will all remain Lutheran Christians. And I think it's very important. This will pass and we will all remain Lutheran Christians. But we have a question here from our brother Cesar Goya. And Cesar Goya, he's saying that I think he's directing this question to you directly. He is saying why Josiah is fixed on the
Fixated.
if it's fixated, okay, on the HIV program. Aren't there other programs that the church undertook through pastors?
Right. And brother Goya is right to ask that question.
Right,
And it helps me to further elucidate on
right,
this matter.
okay,
Brother, I raised this particular thing about the HIV AIDS program because it is the only project in the church that interestingly brought the four candidates together. It is a project that they work on. I know that they got other projects in the church, like the Zoe project, that I think is being managed by the bishop's office or somebody in the bishop office. But I'm talking about a project that we have the Lutheran Development project also that people work on, some lay people. work on with professionals. They work on also. But the project in the church that brought these four candidates together was
Right.
the LCL HIV/AIDS program, Brother
Yes.
Goya.
Yeah.
And what beats my imagination is the fact that these guys were not able to forge. Let me just let the cat out of the bag because your question actually just helped me
Absolutely. Yeah.
to
Go
finish.
ahead.
Let me just let it out. I think these guys will have taken advantage of that opportunity, the fact
Mhm.
that they really worked together, because it
Right.
was not just a few days, or a few weeks, or a few months. They worked together for years,
Mhm.
relating to each other very well. And I think
Right.
they know each other's strength
Mhm.
very well, the places where they have strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And they
Right.
would have come together, in my opinion, or somebody would have taken the leadership to be able
Mhm.
to bring them together, to forge a team in the bishopric election instead of them, partaking in the process individually. That's
Mhm.
that's that's exactly the reason why I raised the issue.
Right.
I would have talked about other projects, but I don't know about any other project that really brought four or three
Four,
or
four of the
five
pastors. Four.
candidates
Yeah.
together in a manner and form in which the LCL HIV/AIDS program brought them together.
Right.
Reverend Gopa, Reverend Gono,
Gono,
Reverend
Reverend
Davis,
Rita Davis, Reverend
and
Mulva Zeze. And I
Reverend
want
Nova Sese.
to and I want
The
to add, I
four
want
of
to add
them
quickly. Right. All
work.
four
Let
of
me
them.
just conclude on this,
Okay. Okay.
Willie, please.
Mhm.
The four of them work very closely together to achieve the success that the church achieved in establishing and operating one of the best HIV/AIDS programs in the country. If they were able to exercise such leadership quality, such leadership values, that led to a national success, not just for the LCL, then how come now that they are running separately for an office that even if any of them wins, all of them will have to work together? So my question is, what is the rationale for doing that? So that's why I was even asking other questions on this show. I asked the question before, even though you can recollect. I said, is there anything special about the bishop office that is creating the kind of attraction that we are having, that people cannot easily work together, team up, and just support one person?
Mhm.
For the office, I asked that question before, and this is just a follow up to that. When I raised the issue about the four candidates working together before, understanding, knowing each other and everything, and many of them relate very well family wise. I know that personally. I know that they treat each other as brothers and sisters. They I don't see where there have been a situation of bad blood of any nature. They've been relating very well, and I think they still do. They call each other brothers and sisters. They have affectionate names that they call each other. I know that very well. So that's why I raised that concern, brother Goya. Not that I only wanted to single the HIV/AIDS program for any other purpose or purposes, but it was specifically to reference the attractive and important manner and form in which they work together before.
Yeah. And just to add before, I know the ambassador will be coming in shortly, but I just want to add quickly that when the program first started, the program also uh, the first group of people that were trained, those counselors that were trained, church leaders that were trained, I want to believe that all five of them did work together because at some point they had. We know that Reverend Patmo had been a long time chaplain at Phoebe, so I want to believe that Reverend Patmo did work along with this group of people before, on this on this issue when it comes to the HIV and AIDS. And like you said, that was one of the signature programs of our church, including the trauma healing program, and right now they have the Zoe program. We don't really know much about the Zoe program, but
Right.
I would give the time to the ambassador to come in quickly. And the ambassador will just share. Look, Mr. Ambassador, the list is up. Um, and unfortunately, today, as you already know that our the chairman is bereaved again. We want to extend our profound sympathy, condolences to the Fromoyan family. Um, but the list is up, and beginning next Sunday, we're gonna have our first guest. You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you again, gentlemen. Am I clear?
Yeah,
Yes,
you are.
very, very clear.
Okay, good. I want to say sorry for coming in late. I had a small challenge with traffic. I was trying to raise the traffic to win the time, but it was hello. Am I
Yeah,
okay?
go ahead, Chairman. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ambassador.
Okay,
You see
good.
now I'm putting him
Okay,
to
good. So hi, B, I'm here. Um, I want to believe that you guys were discussing the entire process as we now know that we got qualified candidates that we will be talking to. And I'm very happy, first of all, to know that the election committee was able to clear everybody. Um, how be it, the process will always have some level of criticism, but notwithstanding, um, people just must know that there are guidelines and they should be able to follow the guidelines. And I want to say thank you to my our brother here, Josiah, for clarifying, the doubt that some of us had relative to the EC writing the bishop to get clarity from the bishop. I think that information was very insightful and it was, enlightening. But let me just get to one crucial thing that I see. All of the candidates are very competent. I start to look at them. Some of them I remember because I interacted with some of them before, like Reverend Gondo. I think I interacted with Reverend Davis from the distance. I think she was a member of St. Matthew. I don't know if she stayed at St. Matthew, but I interacted with her from the distance. I also interacted with Reverend Zizi from the distance. But, Reverend Goba, I interacted with him at St. Peter's. I mean, at that time, he was not even Reverend. He was
yes,
still in the
evangelist.
evangelism.
Evangelist.
Yeah. And I will always see this, his complexion will not hide him. And so in the midst of all the colleagues will be there, you see him clapping and this and that. I said, oh, this guy is very enthusiastic. And when I understood that he was a reverend, I said, no wonder. I think all of them are very capable to run the church.
Yes.
But what we need to do is to make sure that these reverends
All right. Like I said, folks, this is this
understand
happened. Oh, go ahead. Go
that the
ahead.
church. I will have to go off. I will come back. I will come back. Josiah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, like we said, that this happens like all over. It happens here also in the U.S. So, but we will still give the the ambassador the chance when he comes back. But I have this quick announcement, if you don't mind, that I can just
Willie, do we have any additional comments or
yeah,
questions?
yeah. So maybe quickly
Can
we
you
can
just
just
deal with all the comments and the questions because I think we are over
yeah,
an
we
hour
are
now and
we are over the time. Yeah.
we should
So
be ending the show shortly.
yeah. So quickly I would just recognize the few that we can see up here.
Right.
Recognize our brother Jerome Jala. He's always following us. Brother Abin Camon, Roger Camon, brother John Flomo. My little brother, my junior brother, he's in Kokoya, Bond County. That's Emmanuel Cowboy. Our brother Anthony Vapana, brother Cesar Goya, we've recognized him already. Brother David Gavlo, uh, and our sister Patience, our Reverend Sumo Kokolo. Uh, and also, again, we want to recognize our brother, and permit me to just share this out here. Our brother Douglas Pillow. Douglas Ni- Nyak-
Nyakendo Pelo.
yeah, Douglas Nyakeno Pillow. Again, brother, we want to say thank you very, very much. He's joining us from Sweden. And yeah, that is it right there. And yes, okay, so I will announce the number to call. Or maybe if the brother want to join us, but I can announce the number to call. Brother Goya, the number is moving so fast, but please call us on 410-344-3210. That's 410-344-3210 to participate. And if you are in Liberia, you can call us on 077. That's the orange number. You can call us on 077 077 657 9187 077 657 9187. And you can participate. If you call those numbers, you'll be able to participate. um, yeah. So again, I want to say that in order to participate, if you want to call in, the number is 077. If you are in Liberia, 077. Hold on 1 second. It's going to be coming up. Is Okay, to participate, if you are in Liberia, you can call us on 077 6579 187 6579 187. That's in Liberia. If you are in the US, or if you have a WhatsApp, you can call us on 410-344-3210. We have our brother Goya was okay. So we have our first caller on the line. I want to believe this is my own brother Goya. Caller, go ahead, your name, please.
Yeah, this is CZ Goya. How you doing, Willie and Josiah and my brother, the ambassador who is back here. How you doing?
The ambassador is coming back shortly. We're doing well. How are you doing too?
I'm good. I appreciate you taking the time to come on and try to ensure that the church business is not a secret business, that at least, a lot of people will get to know about it.
Yes.
I have a few points I want to make to you guys. The last time I was on the show, and I think the Reverend Allison also brought us that point that these elections have to be looked upon in the framework of the church, and that pastors or contestants have to be able to talk to their members and their supporters to ensure that however way to do electioneering, that they keep in mind that we are all brothers and sisters in the Lord, and that whoever wins will have to be the head shepherd or all of the other shepherds in the church. Having said that, you guys also on this platform also have to recognize that charge. And I'm saying this to say that when and I'm saying you as an panelist make comments that some of us want to start watching and start to look at as being skewed, then that creates a problem for some of us. That's the reason I checked Josiah on the issue of the HIV. Because he made a point about the HIV, not in the context of these people should have just all gone behind the scene. It was after later that he elaborated. He stayed on there for about 5 minutes, and the point he made was that Reverend Koba started that program, and he brought in all the other pastors. So I seem to say Reverend Koba, by bringing all the other pastors somehow who some higher qualification than these pastors. That was the reason I asked that question. There have been so many ways people have said that to be neutral, to say, they have worked on HIV before without saying who started it and who recruited whom. Right? And the other point is to assume that because people have worked together so well on one program means that somehow they are all okay with working on somebody in that program is a fallacy. Because maybe the reason all of these people who work together on a program are running against each other is because they saw leadership gaps in each other. And that they hope that those leadership gaps will not extend to the highest position in the church. And so we have to be very, very, very careful. That's the reason I made that statement that, are there any other church programs that other pastors would have undertaken through the church? So I just want to say I appreciate you guys for what you're doing, but I want to make sure that I know we are all humans. We all have our own little dogs in the race. But when you come to these platforms where we are all watching you, we expect a higher level of transparency and a higher level of just not bending towards any one person. So that's the point I made, and I don't think Josiah Joka answered my question properly. That's the reason I wanted to call to make that point.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother Goya. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the fact that Brother Goya called back, to speak to the extent to which, he considered my response to his question. And but let me just clarify here that, there are two theories that I would talk about. You have in organizational development, you have the open forum, and you also have participative management, and those theories are premised on giving leaders working collectively, and they are members, an integrative kind of feedback and decision making process where everyone voice matters, and usually it leads to success, and this is possible for many organizations and institutions. And I think that was basically the basis for the kind of collective success that the pastors I mentioned experience. They work together. They all were leaders in their respective departments, but the bottom line was that they all worked collectively, and they all made decisions that led to the kind of resounding success that the church experienced. And the Lutheran Christians, and Liberians benefited from generally. So it's a possibility. While I agree that there is a probability that, yes, there could be leadership gaps for which many of them decided to, apply to run for the seat. But there's also a possibility that they all were able to pull their strength and realize what their strengths are, and
Yeah,
how
absolutely. Yeah.
they can work, to move the church forward. The other clarification I want to make here is that this was not intended to support any particular person.
Absolutely not.
The records of the church are clear. If you talk about the LDS, the Lutheran Development Service, which is the Lutheran Development Project, there is somebody responsible for initiating it. And whenever we talk about that project, we will reference that person.
Absolutely.
When you talk about the Zoe project in the church, there is somebody in the church. It's somebody's idea. Somebody conceive it, they dream it, they put it together, and the church leadership endorsed it, and they brought people together, they led it, they made it to work. They brought other people on board with the expertise. They work. We will acknowledge it. The LCL HIV/AIDS program was somebody's idea, somebody's dream. We cannot talk about a void of that. So this is in no way political or election driven. No. I was speaking about somebody I observed, and I said it was my own view, my own opinion, and that was my observation. No matter how you take it, these four pastors I talk about, they all work on the program, and that program was conceived by one person, and the person shared that dream with the church. It was endorsed. It became a reality by all of them working together collectively. So there is no way that anybody will want to twist my thought or my view that, I had any ulterior motive. No. Those pastors that were qualified, as candidates, they are competent. They are competent. They are all competent. They got leadership capabilities. They got leadership values. They got qualifications, that we need in the church. They have talents that we need in the church. They have made significant contributions in their respective domains that are very germane to the leadership of the church. And so it is against that backdrop that today they have become qualified candidates to participate in the bishopric election. And we all applaud that. We congratulate them for that. But we will talk about issues based on the facts. That's why I say, and I'm one person, whether in all the chat rooms, Lutherans follow me, in all the chat rooms, I have emphasized engaging each other constructively. I have talked about the responsibility of the laity. It is not only the pastors, the laity have responsibility to make sure that this process is credible, and the way to do it is to make a void of deceit, void of deception, is to make a void of disrespect, is to value others' opinion. I've said that. The pastors, they also have a greater responsibility to ensure that the process is peaceful. They are the shepherds, watching over the flocks, and they have to make sure that everything is orderly. They have that responsibility, no matter the
So, again, viewers, we want to say thank you for being there with us.
Compromise, they the principle, the values of this show. We respect it. We will maintain it. But let me say that every project and program, the LCL Trauma Healing Program, you cannot talk about the LCL Trauma Healing Program without talking about certain people, without calling certain people.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, they were the dreamers, and they were the people who put it forth before it was bought, and they led the process and brought other people on board, and they worked together collectively. That's leadership. That's leadership.
And that's the reason that's the reason why we are here. We are here to showcase our church, things that are happening in the church that people don't know of, things that are happening in the church that that needs to be that needs to be brought forth so that everyone can have a say in it. That's the reason why we are here.
Don't forget, Willie, don't forget to show how balanced I was in my
how balanced our program.
I talk about Reverend Patmo. I talk about God's kids.
His success at 50, the God's kids program.
Let me just discuss that.
Go ahead.
I did not just talk about the LCL HIV/AIDS program and then stop right there. I went on to say that Reverend Patmo ran a children's program, a children's care program. I talk about it. So we will all discuss about the strengths, the weaknesses of all of these candidates. We're going to do it in a balanced way. So it's not just talking about an individual. I would have just, slide over the gaskets aspect and just sweep it. But no, I can't do that. You can't do that. I talk about it. And that was significant. That was
very significant.
Even though it's short-lived, but it was significant. And I'm sure it was his dream. I'm sure it was his dream. And I'm sure, when he conceived it, he was able to bring forces together. And that's innovation. That's creativity. He was able to bring forces together to make it work. That's the kind of thing we need in our church. So if I talk about any other Lutheran program, I will talk about the people who conceive it. I will talk about the people because we owe that to them,
Yeah, and quickly, we have our Reverend backstage. We told you earlier on during the show, that Aliyah has her general meeting scheduled today. We have the president, the Reverend Dr. Moses Dennis. He's in the back end. We're going to be bringing him shortly. But again, I just want to say that, look, of all of the, in the midst of this entire church activities, church electoral activities, right? You found out that these pastors are well-to-do. They are fine. I'm telling you, these pastors are fun. We are the little, we are the one, but these pastors are fun. But quickly, what? I would just bring in Reverend Dennis. Reverend Dennis is just going to talk to us briefly. It's just going to be very, very brief. And we want to recognize Sister Cotto and our brother Sarabasa from Florida. Our brother Sarabasa from Florida and our sister Cotto. We want to say thank you very much. She's watching.
Are you talking about Cotto Jones?
No, that's Cotto Kamara. She's watching us from Monrovia. So I'm going to bring in, like we said, we're going to bring in the Reverend Dennis, the Reverend Dr. Dennis. When you see this
Dr. Dennis,
this man has so many hats, but I saw a flyer from him last evening, and I said, okay, which one again? My Reverend is bringing
will you please talk about the Aliyah hat right now?
but I'm going to talk about the Aliyah hat.
Aliyah right now.
The Aliyah hat, because Aliyah is there to us. Okay. Right. We have the Reverend here, Reverend Dr. Dennis. We want to say welcome again to my Lutheran Connection TV online platform. We're going to give you the opportunity. We understand today there is a meeting scheduled for this evening. We're going to give you the opportunity to speak to the viewers, especially those who are residing here in the U.S. and Canada, to speak with them directly. And you can bring personal greetings as well, Reverend.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And it's a pleasure to see Mr. Jokai, to see you, Willie, and all of the listeners. It's a great show. I'm just here for 5 minutes to say, first and foremost, happy Transfiguration Sunday. Pray that, all that Peter, James, and John experienced on that mountain to see the Lord in his full glory, that same presence of God will be with us in these dark times in our world.
Amen.
Mindful of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine and all that is happening in that part of the world. With that said, though, today Aliyah meets monthly, and the last Sunday is always our monthly meeting. and it's going to be via Zoom, which Lynn Willie have shared, and I also share it through Messenger. And we just want all Liberians to join us for this meeting to hear about Aliyah, to hear about our upcoming 11th National Assembly scheduled for Columbus, Ohio in August, specifically August 17th, I believe, to the 20th, 21st, thereabout. And also, you guys been talking about LIB and the upcoming election. That's something we also will be talking about. Aliyah as a organization, we have interest in what is happening, especially to be a voice for calm, to be a voice for stability, to be a voice for all that the church should stand for in times like these. So we'll be talking a little bit about that in our meeting, and also just checking in on each other. You know, when we were in Baltimore, I said this year convention was going to be a convention, a celebration. And definitely there will be a lot to celebrate. I was telling somebody, by the time we get to Columbus, we'll have 3 doctorate degree holders to celebrate. We have the new bishop, hopefully, that will be coming to join us. And also, we will have other things that are in the making. So I'm excited. But come to this meeting because we want to do most of the work doing this meeting, monthly meeting, so that when we meet in Columbus face to face, there will be more of a celebration. So I'm excited about the show. Sorry I was late joining you guys today from church, but I'm looking forward to continue watching the show and, of course, coming on as a guest to talk about our church, our faith, and the world that we are part of. So thank you, Willie. Thank you, Mr. Jokai, and thank you all of you that are out there making the show possible.
Yeah, Remy, before you go, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Josiah.
That means, you won't just come on and give the information and we'll let you go like that. At least you can take a question from us. Dr. Dennis.
As you can see, the pillow is behind me.
I see. No, we're not going to keep you here for long. Dr. Dennis, thank you so much for the information. Aliyah is so dear to us, and some of us, have planned to become very active with the activities of Aliyah, because it's in the interest of working for a church. Well, it doesn't matter wherever you are, where you find yourself, do your best, in a way that contributes to the growth and development of the church. And that's why we continue to applaud you for the kind of role you play in spite of everything that we all have to go through here. So thank you and congratulations for everything. We look forward to a successful Ohio convention. We'll pray about it, all of us. But let me just pick your brain a little bit on some of the plans that people are making for post-election in the church. As Reverend Allison always said, that we have the different stages that people have to be conscious of in our church. That helps you to better discuss in terms of the way forward for our church. Right now, we're in the national state, meaning that everything we have to do it ourselves. So some of the plans that people are talking about for the post-election period has to do with a transformation in the church, and I think Aliyah is also having conversation around that too. Policy wise, I don't know what specific policy that you are working on and you would like to bring up, during the post-election era. I don't even know whether or not this is coming up at the Ohio convention. I'm saying this in the context of our conversation you and I had on the phone. Maybe you'd like to talk about it a little bit, because that's very crucial too.
Yeah, generically, I can speak to it.
Yes.
I mean, you are in America. I've been in the ELCA for about 15 years, and the church has gone through so many transformations in terms of just structurally changing how the church works. I mean, in terms of staffing, in terms of policy, in terms of priority. And we do think that with COVID and with the new reality Liberia found herself in, I think all of the institutions of Liberia, but specifically the church, we need to transform, and we need to change some of the structures we have in place, because those structures were 19th century, some of them, 20th century, and now we're in the 21st century. So for me, generically speaking, we need to make the church more functional, more effective to fulfill the vision the church has, which is to preach, teach, and to heal. And some of us are vested in all of those ministries. and we are having serious conversations. And part of our hope is that whoever emerges will be able to really be clear with he or she that this is where we see ourselves as a church in the diaspora. These are our priority, and these are the way we think they can happen. And if he or she is on board, we will definitely be willing to go as far as we can go. But education for us is our top priority. And to that end, the LUL will be number one priority for us, because we believe with the LUL, you can have a bigger umbrella that can take care of some of the many problems the church is facing when it comes to finances, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to pension, all of those stuff. We think we will be we have brains and people that have done doctorate degrees, just studying the church, studying Liberia, studying the different institutions. So, like I said, we'll be celebrating some of our own sons and daughters who have gone to get PhD in public health, finance, and all that stuff. And they did their case study with Liberia. So we really think we have a lot to bring to the table and to the church. We want to work with the church because I'm a man of the church. I'm a church practitioner. So we do really think that there's a lot Aliyah will offer, and we stand to offer, and we are very optimistic that whoever emerges will be able to work with them to help transform the church. We are Lutherans. We are always in the business of transforming, reforming constantly. Nothing is, the only thing that is constant is change. So anything that doesn't change, that means it's not going to survive. So the church must change its structure, how it does business, but the message still remains the same. Right. One of the books I recently read is called Constant in Context. The context remains the same, but the structure changes with time. So I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Jokai, but that's where I am.
To an extent, Dr. Dennis. And the specific aspect has to do with structure, since you talk about context and structure. The specific part of your response that I like to talk about is structure. There are those who are of the opinion that the church should decentralize, and part of decentralization is the devolution of authority, devolution of power, where you should move some of the powers away from the office of the bishop and share with the districts. For example, say like each district has its own bishop, like they do in the Catholic Church, the diocese system. And then you have an archbishop, so that the office of the bishop does not become so attractive. People will be concerned about their locales, making sure that they are doing well, attending to the flux in those locales and their control areas, and also resource mobilization can become effective and apply, constructively. There are those with that conversation that those are the kind of things, an example of the kind of things we should be talking about after the elections, and electing somebody who will support, a change of that nature. I know decentralization has different aspects, but a critical component of it is the devolution of power. And that's the sticky part that always those who involved with decentralization can be very mindful of, because it's about losing it to some offices, losing some degree of power to others, sharing it. So what is your thought on that? Those who are of that opinion that such conversations should start in the church?
Yeah, I think it's a conversation worth having. I think it should not be about the power. It should really be about effectiveness. Mm-hmm. And if that will help the church be more effective, that's the way to go. And obviously, humor will always be humor. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if power is centralized, sometimes it may be tempting for any person, no matter whether you are a bishop or a president or a king or queen. So I think that's a good conversation worth having. I know membership-wise, the Lutheran Church in Liberia is bigger than some of the churches that have those structures in place. So I personally think it's worth studying. And again, the Lutheran Church in Liberia will make that decision, but it has to start somewhere. And the way it works, I think somebody will have to bring it forward as a resolution or as a recommendation or as something that the convention will consider. And I mean, this convention might not be the one, because I don't know if they have time to really do the work. But hopefully the next bishop, the next convention, that can be something to think about the future, because he or she will have to think about the church for the next 10 or 20 years. And I
But
think
quick
that would be
question,
a
Dax.
good place to start.
Quick question before I lose my thought on that. You talk about the coming convention, the Ohio convention, and and some of the people who have been hearing talking about this, obviously some of them will be at that convention. So what do you do if there is that kind of point at the Ohio convention introduced?
As partner in mission with the LCL, we will take it to the partner in mission conversation as something that you have to structure it the way it should be structured. Yeah, but definitely we should be willing to talk about it, because if it's on the mind of the member, we are the church, Josiah. So like current bishop, let's just say we are the Lutheran Church in Liberia in the diaspora. So if it comes to our floor, we will discuss it as a recommendation that we'll take to the LCL, to our partner in mission. But ideally, it will be easy if one of the parishes in Liberia can bring it forward as a resolution, and rather it coming from us as a non-voting, entity to the convention.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dennis. From my end,
Yeah.
I'm okay, and wish you all the best, and my greetings to your wife and the children. Yeah, I wish you.
Yeah, so we'll be hopefully talking. Want to come back on the show maybe early March, but Willie and I will talk backstage and we'll work it out.
Yeah, absolutely, Reverend. Maybe we can try to find a prime time. But the month of March is going to be jammed packed.
I know.
We have.
I can understand. Yeah,
we're gonna definitely find time, because the program equals so that we are giving time to our activities in Liberia. We like Brother Josiah said from the very onset when you came on, that Aliyah is there to our heart. So we're going to try to create every avenue that we can use this platform to reach out to all of our Liberian Lutherans and those who share in the values of Aliyah here in the U.S. and in Canada, to reach out to them. So we're going to try as much as possible, even if it means that we can add a 30-minute segment onto, or start early, then come in with the candidates. We're going to try to do that. We're going to work that in the back end. But one thing, Reverend, quickly, do you care to mention what time is the meeting? I did not hear that from you.
Oh, Aliyah meeting tonight is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central.
Okay.
You do the specific.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. Yeah.
So it's 8 p.m. and we did send out the Zoom link. We do also put on social media.
Right.
So our meetings usually last for an hour to an hour and a half, and we try to maximize. And today focus will be on our upcoming convention and some of the plans that have been put in place. So it will be very, very important those who can join us to do that.
All right.
Well, I think we'll start thinking about the possibility of us broadcasting from Ohio during the convention. Absolutely.
We're gonna cover it.
So we can have everybody. We can have everybody on. Reverend Dennis and the rest of the folks who will be on, even those from Liberia. Like he said, we have the new bishop by then. We should have them on. We all, broadcasting from.
Actually, we are hoping to have the bishops join us if it will be okay. If they will be, because I know the bishop's supposed to be installed in July. So, and we meet in August. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right, Reverend Dennis, we want to say thank you again on a short notice. You joined us this evening. We want to say thank you very much. Our greetings to our Reverend Mother. All of our mothers in the pastor's wife in our church, they are our Reverend Mothers. So greetings to our Reverend Mother, Mother Helena Dennis. We want to say and greetings also to the children. I'll be talking with you very shortly.
Greet our sisters and mothers' daughters as well. And
one more thing we did last week. One thing we did last week, Reverend. Do you care to give the benediction before leaving?
Yes. And we're not going to say anything again once
we're not going to say anything right after the benediction.
That's the end of the show.
That's the end of the show.
Okay, folks, it was nice having you today, viewers. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We have come to the end of the show, and we will have Reverend to do our benediction, and we end the show.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
May the blessings of Almighty God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit rest and abide with you all now and forever and ever. In Jesus' mighty name.
Amen.
Amen.